So let's do a bit of a deep dive into lipids. I am actually in your biology reference guide, which you bookmarked at the beginning of the year, and I'm on page 38 and 39. I'm going to sort of shrink this a little bit so it's easier to see. Let me move my screen here so you can see what's going on. We'll start at the top. Lipids, which include fats, oils, waxes, and steroids, are an important class of biological compounds. We just discussed that in the last video. Lipids are insoluble in water. Oil and water don't mix. They are critical components of membranes in living things, and they also play important roles in energy storage and as hormones. Also on page 38 in your biology reference guide, you can see a picture of a lipid. Fats and phospholipids, two major groups of lipids, have two molecular components, glycerol and fatty acids. Glycerol, in blue, is a 3-carbon molecule that forms the backbone of these lipids. There's a carbon, there's the second carbon, there's the third carbon, and they're all bonded together. That's what those lines mean. Fatty acids, in tan, the second component of fats and phospholipids, are long chains of hydrocarbons. Like hydrocarbons in general, fatty acids are not soluble in water. And now I'm at the bottom of page 38, and we have some examples here. You can see this example of that's a fish, it's a cod. It says unsaturated fats, which have one or more double bonds between carbon atoms in the fatty acid chains, are called oils. Oils are liquid at room temperature. Humans, for example, use cod oil for medicinal and nutritional purposes. It is a good source of vitamins A and D. Most fats consist of 3 fatty acid chains attached to a molecule of glycerol. Because of this formation, fats are also known as triglycerides. Saturated fats, which have only single bonds between carbon atoms in the fatty acid chains, are solid at room temperature. The blubber of a walrus is a fat used by the animal's body for storing energy and regulating temperature. Waxes are made up of long chains of fatty acids bonded to long chains of alcohols. These lipids are solid at room temperature. Many plants produce waxes that coat their leaves, protecting the leaves from excessive water loss. Some animals produce waxes to help maintain fur or feathers. Some animal waxes, such as the wax produced by honeybees to make their honeycomb cells, have antibacterial properties. Moving on to page 39 of your biology reference guide, you can see some more pictures here of different kinds of lipids. I'm going to go ahead and shrink the screen so that it's bigger and hopefully easier to see. Phospholipids are a specific type of lipid. They are used by organisms to form cell membranes. A phospholipid has a polar end and a nonpolar end. The head of the phospholipid is polar and hydrophilic. The tails are nonpolar and hydrophobic. Unlike a fat, which has 3 fatty acid tails, a phospholipid has only 2 fatty acids attached to glycerol. So here is the hydrophilic or water-loving polar head of the phospholipid, and it has 2 tails, 1, 2, and the tails are hydrophobic, which means they're water avoiding. So the question becomes, how is that important, or why is that important in living organisms? And you can see this is a cell, right? All of our bodies are made of cells, and you can see the outside of the cell, we call that the cell membrane. It's watery, like an aqueous environment on the inside of the cell, and it's watery. There's a watery aqueous environment on the outside of the cell. So if I take this cell membrane and I blow it up, make the picture bigger, you can see what the cell membrane looks like, right? This is what contains the inside of the cell. So if you imagine this is the outside of the cell and it's watery, and this is the inside of the cell and it's also a watery aqueous environment. Imagine this is a circle that goes all the way around, right? And it contains the organelles inside the cell. In an aqueous or watery environment, phospholipids self-assemble into 2 layers. The hydrophilic head faces out to the watery environment. The hydrophobic tails orient themselves away from the watery environment. All cell membranes have this basic structure. You can see the hydrophilic or water-loving heads of the phospholipid, And then the two little tails coming off of each head, those are the hydrophobic tails. The hydrophobic tails move away from the water. They orient themselves on the inside of the cell membrane, and the hydrophilic heads want to be near the water. So they're facing the outside of the cell where it's watery, and these polar hydrophilic heads are facing the inside of the cell where it's watery. And then the tails, who don't want to be anywhere near the water, orient themselves towards the inside so that they don't have to be near the water because they are nonpolar and hydrophobic.